this thing up front, one thing I noticed, you know what? The number match up with the number on the upper top.
Yes, they match up.
Yeah.
There's also a pin.
Yeah, also a pin right here.
Yeah.
The number has to be matched up with the number on the
So
side
you
right
don't
here.
get it flipped around.
And this one is different number, so I know that's why I tried to take this one slowly so I can see it. Did I put everything back there right now? And I did.
You're just about done. You only got a couple more.
Yes, sir. I try.
Now you got to clean it with the brake cleaner and get all the oil out of the bearing mounts so it doesn't spin when you put a new one back in. Crank it up. Yeah, you gotta get them safety glasses on. Stuff will pour right in your face if you don't watch it. So you're basically cleaning where the bearing mounts.
This
the
one?
horseshoe up in there, yeah.
This one?
Yeah, and then you're cleaning the bottom of the crank and all that too, yeah.
Yeah.
Cleaning everything off.
That's what I do. And then I wipe up this one when I come to the
then
other
you hit
side.
it with an air hose real good and dry it up. Cool.
Rolling.
This is number 3 bearing. We've done most of them already. Here's the ones we took out. Moving right along. So far, all the rod bearings have looked really good. Some of the main bearings have some scarring from carbon packing. You can see that there was some carbon packing at one time in the engine's life. The carbon packing is gone. There's a few deposits left in the corners here and there. So apparently when he had all those DPF problems long ago, before anybody took care of the truck, before he bought it, and right when he bought it, it was in pretty bad shape, headed down the wrong road for a lot of wear and a lot of problems. So it's really good to see that he turned this around and made it last 1 million miles, even though it had started out with a pretty poor life. That's good. I'm impressed. So hopefully he'll get some more life out of it before he has to do the pistons and liners and replace the head. This will kind of, the main purpose of this, you know, to kind of remove some of the wear in the engine, but also really to protect the wrist pins. The wrist pins where the pistons meet the rod, you know, you got brass bushings that the wrist pins sit in. And when these bearings wear, they cause a lot of play, and then the rod has a lot of play, and then the piston, the wrist pin, ends up suffering that vibration and play, and it accelerates the wrist pin bushing wear. And the wrist pin bushings are brass, and you can't really replace them without pulling the entire engine down and pulling the pistons out of it. So, you know, it's not something you want to play with. And what happens is, if you don't replace these when they start to get wear in them, it accelerates the wear in the wrist pin bushing, and then the wrist pin bushing, it accelerates the wear of the wrist pin bushing, and then the wrist pin bushing wears out, and then the wrist pin itself, it's hardened chromium on the outside. It's a hardened steel on the outside, but it's just a very thin layer, and it's soft in the middle. So what happens is that hardened layer is eaten away, and then it starts eating into that soft layer of the wrist pin, and eventually it eats about halfway through it, and then you're going down the road, you'll never see this, you'll never feel it, you'll never notice a vibration, you know, you really won't be able to tell that this is going on if this is starting to happen, until one day you're just climbing a hill and the wrist pin lets go and the piston just turns sideways and it goes through the block and it destroys the entire engine block, which, you know, that's not good because now you have to have a whole engine block. So, you know, it's a catastrophic failure that can be totally prevented by doing rod and main bearings. I always say it, you know, I've done a lot of digging and research on it, and doing the rod and main bearings at about 800,000 miles is what most people recommend. 600,000 if the engine's going to be driven really hard it's got a lot of horsepower in it, or just has a hard life. This one here, it wasn't bad, but he hasn't driven it really hard, so that's it definitely shows. We're moving right along. He's on number. We've done. There's 7 main cap bearings. We've done 1 and 7, and then we did 1 and 6 rod bearings, and then we did number 6 main cap. And then we rotated the engine, and then we did 2 and 5, and now he's on 3 and 4. So this is number 3 here. So let's finish that up and get to number 4 and do it, and then we'll come back. Cut. So we let your engine pressurize overnight.
Yeah.
And we found no signs of coolant down there.
There's
so
just a couple
good.
clamp.
Yeah, you did find a small leak on one of your hose clamps. That's good.
Yes, 2 of them.
But that was on the
other
outside of the engine, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, after 1,000,000 miles, not any signs of coolant whatsoever. Not a single drop. After it sat overnight with 20 pounds on it.
That's good.
And I'll put some lube on it for you. My hands are clean.
Okay, next bearing, Master Raw.
You ready to rotate it? Or are you ready to put the...
But the next,
Oh, you need the
little
rod
one.
bearing, right?
The little one.
Yeah, the rod bearing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's it?
That's it.
Alright, let's go to the next one. Now we're gonna... He has not torqued any of this yet. I just wanted to make note of that. He has not torqued anything yet. Once he gets it all, we get it all put back together. We get it all snugged down like we just did, with the speed guns, with the electric speed guns without too much torque, 50, 60, 70 foot-pounds. What we're gonna do is we're gonna rotate the motor around a few times to make sure everything settles and everything feels good. And then we'll go back and we'll torque everything. Okay. When you press your clutch and you hold your clutch down, basically you're riding against these bearings here. The crank is rotating with the force against these. That's what they do. When you press your clutch in.
So it's not good using the clutch constantly, huh?
Puts wear on the bearings. There's a little bit more wear on these. It must be the forward thrust bearings. Somebody rides their clutch all the time, yeah, it's going to be hard on these bearings.